welcome to a brand new show, One on One with Matlomola Morake. That's me. We're talking about the women's story. With this show, just want to profile the women, the sporting women in our world, and not just that, but also we want to know what makes them tick. Do they go to church? Do they have husbands? Do they have kids? And what do they do in their spare time when they're far away from their cameras, or they're far away from the football pitches, the netball courts, and do they cook? But also, very importantly, we want to applaud them while they're still alive. And I'm pleased that in the first episode, the launch episode of One on One with Matlomola Morake, I have this fabulous guest. I'm honored to have as our first guest, Nono Cele Xaba. Intombi yasePort Shepstone, le KZN. Hello, my
Yo,
friend. How are you?
my friend, I am honored to be your first guest. I'm super excited. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. If you recall, about a year or two ago, we actually had a cup of coffee and we spoke about this concept, and now here it is happening.
Look at you. Look at you. Well done to you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for being our first guest, and congratulations, by the way.
Mm,
I'm really honored to have you
mm,
as that first guest. And for those that don't know, you're wearing so many hats. You're
mm,
a producer at Supersport, one
mm.
of the big producers, and we'll talk more about that later. You were director or marketing director at VX
Mm,
Events and
mm,
Logistics, and
mm,
you're also founder, director, and CEO at
mm,
Salt and Pepper.
mm,
Very busy lady.
mm,
But before those titles,
mm.
who is Nono Cele? Let's not even go to club. Who
Yeah.
is Nono Cele?
Very important question. This is a question I get all the time. And I used to ask myself this question: who is Nono Cele? When I walk into a room, who is walking into the room? I think there's a lot of words that I can use to describe myself, but most importantly, Nono Cele is a child of God. That for me is the foundation of my identity. It's at the core of everything that I do and everything that I am. I think I would be lost outside of that knowledge. I am a child of God. I am an artist. I am a passionate human being. Everywhere I am, I do everything with heart. I am a wife. I'm a mother. I am a friend. I am a sister. I am an entrepreneur. I am an artist. I am a student of life. Yeah, more than anything, I'm a child of God. At the heart of all these amazing, incredible titles, my relationship with my God is the single most important thing about me.
And I would like us to delve deeper into that, but a little later. Growing up in Port Shepstone, what are
Mm.
your hopes and dreams?
Growing up in Port Shepstone, it's a small place, it's a small town. You don't really get to see much, right? And for me, I always wanted to be a storyteller. And that's because of my grandmother, and I'll also credit my parents as well, because every time we were together, we would tell stories. Remember, when I grew up, we didn't have the luxury of having a TV or anything like that. We had to entertain ourselves. And a form of entertaining ourselves, or our parents and grandparents entertaining us, was in the form of storytelling. They would tell us history, our history, where we come from. They would tell us stories of things that happened before we were born. My mother on my birthday would tell the story of what happened on the day that I was born. So I was surrounded by so much storytelling that when I was growing up, I thought for sure I want to be a storyteller. I just didn't know what that looked like practically, but I just fell in love with the art of telling stories.
And then you went to school, completed your matric, and then
Mm,
that's when
mm.
the dream or the of being a storyteller
But
started.
before even that, I remember in grade 11 struggling so much with deciding what I wanted to do or wanted to be, because I couldn't put it into words. I didn't have the language for what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to tell stories, but what does that look like practically, And I struggled so much, and I saw my friends picking, the career path that they wanted. They were so sure, but I was so anxious because I was filled with so much uncertainty until I went to DUT, where they were talking about broadcasting. And there's something about it that just clicked for me. I was like, broadcasting, what is that? And they're like, basically, we tell stories in visual form. And for me, I just never looked back. But it was difficult for me to go back home and tell my parents about it because this is a field that they knew nothing about.
Perhaps they wanted you to be a doctor or a nurse or
In
something.
fact, my dad wanted me to be an accountant because I was very good at accounting, but it wasn't my thing. It didn't cause me to come alive. So I had to put together a whole presentation for my family, and I was like, guys, this is really what I want to study. I want to be a broadcaster. I want to tell stories. More importantly, I wanted to tell um African stories, our stories, the same way that I grew up, where our parents would tell us, which is Pumapi. How did we end up where we are? I think there's something powerful about that. So that's where my journey really started with sport broadcasting.
Interesting that you had DUT.
Mm.
In my time, I was at Technical Natal, which is now called DUT.
Correct.
But now
Correct.
you go to DUT, you complete, and then you find yourself in Johannesburg, right?
Yeah.
How did that
So
happen?
when I completed at DUT, then I was looking for internships because they don't allow you actually to graduate unless you've had X amount of hours, right, for in-service training. And for me, I was struggling to find in-service training because remember at the time, there weren't really many companies that you could go to for in-service training. So I ended up at J Studio. I don't even know if people remember J Studio. And they were just taking photos of I was taking photos of people, ID photos. On weekends, I was shooting weddings, and I was so frustrated because
But that's not what you wanted.
that's not what I wanted. But I had to do it for that time in order for me to graduate. And then when I graduated, I was just applying everywhere. I was just applying everywhere. And then I got a call from my lecturer, Rose Lovell, who said to me, actually, Mnet OBs are looking for people and they're looking for 10 top students, and I've given them your contact details. The minute they called me, listen, I was on a bus to Johannesburg. And mind you, I had never been to Johannesburg ever.
How old were you back then?
I was 20 years old. I jumped on that bus. I was like, I am going to Johannesburg, and I've never looked back.
Wafika ngempela eGoli.
Engafiki eGoli. Oh my goodness. First of all, I was so intimidated by the buildings because I'd never seen buildings that tall. I mean, in Port Shepstone,
Port
like
Shepstone.
it's Port Shepstone, you know what I mean? I love it, but it's Port Shepstone. Yeah, so ngafika eGoli and I was sleeping on the floor. I was staying with a friend of a friend of a friend. And yeah, if we are from a small town, you know exactly what I'm talking about because when you come to a big city like this, you don't know anyone. Maybe there's a family member who knows someone, and then they call someone else, and yeah, basically that's how my journey started.
Now let's fast forward. You now Supersport. You spoke about Mnet, but now it's Supersport. You're the director. How do you get to that point?
So at the time, it was called Mnet OBs. It is so interesting, like what one can achieve in a few years. I just came to Joburg with nothing but a hunger to make something of myself. Because when I left home, my father said, you must remember that everything that I have is mine, and I will not be doing you any justice if I spoil you. You need to go out there in the world and make a name of yourself, but most importantly, and fulfill your purpose. And those words were difficult for me to hear from my dad because as a girl, I wanted to be cushioned.
And did you know at the time what your purpose was?
I wasn't clear on my purpose, nor did I want to go and discover it. I just wanted to be coddled and taken care of. But my dad is notorious for giving tough love. So when I came here, I was nothing but an intern. I had to start at the bottom. I was running around with cables. I was not even certain what it is I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be in the space, but what? Doing what? Making what kind of impact? So I started as an intern, and I'm grateful for that opportunity because being an intern allows you to learn and to grow. You're not just doing one thing. You're not just making coffee. Yes, they still make you run around and
Of course they do.
go get coffee, and it's okay. But you also learn so many things from various people, right? Because you interact with the whole crew. You interact with the director, with the producer, with the operators. So you're basically learning so much. You're interacting with the audio team, with the EVS team.
More like learning everything.
Exactly. And that's what I feel most people don't understand about being an intern. We are so quick to be frustrated about where we are that our eyes aren't open to the opportunity that this being where you are is representing, you know. So for me, because I knew I could not go back home with nothing, I had to make this work, you know. So I learned a great deal from a lot of people who were senior to me. And as a result, when that was 2007, early 2007, by the end of 2007, Supersport got the rights for PSL. And that happened at the perfect time for me because they were looking for people that never had rights before. And I was at the right place at the right time. And I was super passionate. I was raising my hand for everything. They were looking for someone who was going to work on a show called Back Pages. And that show was focusing on the newspapers, right? So I raised my hand to buy newspapers. I was like, I'm the girl who's going to buy newspapers. And that's actually what people called me, the girl with the newspapers.
But you had no clue what you wanted
I
from
had
the show.
I had no clue what I wanted from the show, but I knew that I'm gonna get involved here and this opportunity is going to pay me back in the long run. I was buying newspapers every Sunday and every Monday. I was a newspaper girl. And within a matter of months, I was producing the show. You know?
Wow,
So
interesting.
that's why it's so important for us to raise our hands, you know, and to be passionate. I mean, you could be doing the most insignificant, so-called insignificant task, but you never know what that task, where the task could lead you if you do it with the right attitude.
I've often heard people say when you're given a job to do
Mm.
it well because you don't know who could be watching.
100%. And I live by that because my parents drilled that into me. Look, it was not nice to hear at the time, but
Of
I've
course.
seen the fruits of
Mm.
that, you know, because when you do things, it is the heart that matters most. If you're doing things but with a grumbling spirit, the results are going to produce that. You know, and that's why sometimes we're not happy with the results that we get. Maybe our hearts aren't right. You know what I mean? Because we can hide our intentions from people, but we cannot hide our intentions from the creator. So it's very important to do things with the right attitude, with the right intention.
What currently is your position and what does it entail?
My position right now, I am a senior producer. I'm also an outside broadcast director. I didn't set out to be a director. I always wanted to be a producer, a storyteller, like I said. But directing is something that found me along the way. It is really an art that I've fallen in love with. I started directing in 2013, and that was by accident because a colleague couldn't make it to work, so I had to step up at the time. But I really fell in love with it, and it is something that now I cannot imagine my life without directing. It is the absolute passion of my life.
So when I'm sitting at home watching television and when I see a show that I don't like, I must blame you.
Yes, unfortunately, yes, that is true. But also keep in mind that I don't direct every match there is. But yes, we are those people who make those calls, who tell you the stories, and who choose which shots you get to see at home.
The Dreamstream studio in Randburg is a full-service studio on Bromfisher Drive. It's perfectly suited for podcast, music recordings, and general video recordings. Backed up by an experienced editing and production team means you can walk in, record, and walk out knowing that everything will get done as you require. Our mobile gear ensures we can cover your video and live streaming needs on location too. We got the cameras, the lights, and the action to make you and your brand shine. Contact us now, studio@dreamstream.co.za, and we'll make it happen. Dreamstream, a place to create yourself.
In terms of directing, which big production have you done that really stands out for you?
It's a very tricky question. Okay, cool. Just this past weekend, I just directed Stellenbosch versus Kaiser Chiefs. Incredible match. Chiefs won that one. Just before that, I directed Kaiser Chiefs versus Amazulu, where Amazulu scored all 4 goals in a match that ended up 2-2.
I saw that game.
Crazy. What a match. And I'm just highlighting recent work. I mean, every match for me is a big match because what I do is such a privilege, it's such an honor. I never thought in my wildest dreams that I'd get to do what I do. Obviously, there are certain games that have a very special place in my heart. That's like the MTN 8 Pirates versus Sundowns in Bombela. That was incredible. That was my first big final. And that will forever have a special place in my heart because that went everywhere in Africa. And for me to be able to be the first woman to direct a final of that nature was, yeah, it was something special.
Working behind the scenes, you've also worked behind the scenes, so to speak. I mean, multi-disky. You were part of the team that actually brought it to life, and you were also involved with netball, the World Cup.
That's correct. 2014, I remember when our big boss told me that I would be running the multi-choice disky challenge. It was the first time something like this was happening in South Africa. I was so shocked. I was like, oh my goodness, I have to lead a whole team. Now you need to imagine this. I was leading a team of people who had never been in this kind of space before. Some people were touching the camera for the first time. And obviously we had talent, Lindiwe Dube, Amanda Manku, who had never presented before. And we had commentators, Grant Bissett, Temba Boy, Bafana Mosman, that never done commentary before. And obviously the crew behind the scenes, EVS, cameras, Rex. And here I was just learning how to direct, and I was meant to lead this team, and really make this look like a real production. What a moment for me. But I'm so grateful for that opportunity because it forever changed my life. It made me realize that I'm so much more than a producer or a director, but I'm also a person who's passionate about giving other people an opportunity. And that's exactly how my career has gone, to a point where even today I train and upskill people in addition or over and above what I do. I love to see young people win. I love to see young people challenge themselves. So 2014 was significant for me to be able to lead that team and to see what the project has done in so many people's lives behind the scenes and on the field as well, similar to the 2023 Netball World Cup.
And before you get to the netball, the multi-disky has actually grown in leaps and bounds.
It has grown so much, and I'm so proud, not only of the players and the coaches, and not only what this project does for so many people economically, because people have been able to feed their loved ones because of this project. This project has changed lives, including mine. So when I see some of the teammates that I started with in 2014, some of them are actually abroad right now. There's a very good friend of mine, Unoni. She's a camera operator. She just called me yesterday. She's like, Nons, I'm so excited. I just wanted to say thank you to you for everything that you did to empower me, because I'm actually abroad right now. So she's working internationally right now. So it's projects like this that make you realize that what we do is so much more than just watching sport. It is changing lives. It's making an impact. So for me, that causes me to just come alive. That excites me forever.
And you're going to talk about the netball.
The Netball World Cup, what a moment, for an first ever all-female crew, 2023 Netball World Cup. Nothing like it. Nothing like it. And I'm grateful to have been chosen to also captain that team. And I'm proud of all the ladies who really raised their hands and made history. Basically, they did something so incredible there. And yeah, I think we should be proud of ourselves. We should be proud of ourselves as females, as women, taking up our own space, raising our hands, and basically saying this is who we are.
And how much is knowing a sport? How much role does it play in your job, and also being passionate about it?
Significant. You cannot do a good job at this if you do not like watching sport, if you do not enjoy sport. You need to be immersed in it. That's the only way you're going to be good at it. You cannot take shortcuts and think you're going to succeed. It doesn't happen that way. You need to pay your dues. You need to spend long hours. You need to write notes. You need to talk to people. You really need to apply yourself in order for you to be good. There's no way. There's no other way.
Looking back, you still believe you made the right choice going to DUT?
Well, looking back, yeah, I think I made the right choice. I'm humbled by how my journey has gone, but I must say, I still have big dreams for myself. I don't even think I'm there yet. I don't think any of us ever arrive. I think my journey has just fueled my faith and my hope that there's more. And I believe that there's more. And I want it for myself. I want it for other people, but they also have to want it for themselves.
Moving now to the exciting part for me, maybe for you as well, family.
Yeah.
You've got a family, and with the job, the kind of job that you do,
Mm,
how important is having a stable family
mm.
for your job? And please tell
Family.
us about Vus.
Oh, are we doing that? Having a family is the single most important thing when you do what I do, because you need a support structure. You need a place where you can rest. You need a place where you can go and be loved and be held and be appreciated and be seen. Because as we famously say, this is a thankless industry. Long after you've done an incredible game, don't think that there's going to be like millions of people there clapping for you. You need to go home and find that love from your family, from the people who are closest to you. So I'm fortunate to have found someone, or been found by someone who loves me. You know, I met my husband at FNB Stadium. I was there to work. He was there to watch the game. And then I found out on the day that me and my best friend, who's also a director, had been double booked. So he said to me, "Don't worry about it. Just go watch the game. You don't get to watch the matches live anyway." So I was like, "Yeah, let me go to the stands and watch a game and be a spectator." You know, and that's how I met my husband, and we never
So
looked back.
you met him in the stands.
I met him in the stands, and it was Chiefs, FNP Stadium, Chiefs and Sundowns playing. And we so happened to be, cheering for the same team on the day. And yeah, we just clicked. And I'm so glad that he approached me, because most people find me very intimidating. I guess it's because I'm very vocal, I'm very confident, and yeah, he was super chilled. And yeah, a few years later, he asked me to marry him, and I was like, why
Why
not?
not?
He's cute.
And now you've got three beautiful daughters.
Yeah, and now we have daughters that we are raising. Half the time, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm grateful to have my
It's
husband.
called adulting.
Yes, adulting. You never know what you're doing, right? You just pretend that you know. But I'm grateful for my husband. He's an incredible partner, which is one thing I can say about our marriage. We are partners more than anything. On days when I feel like I'm at a 30%, I'm able to share that with him. I'm like, look, today I'm at a 30%. I need you to fill in the 70, and vice versa. I think that's very important, that communication between us. And yeah, our marriage is very much centered on the word of God. And for us, that's how we were raised. That's what we believe in. And I'm grateful for our family as well, because when I go home, I don't have to be a director. My husband has created the space where I can just be a wife. I can just be Nono. I don't have to be calling the shots. I don't have to have everything figured out. I don't have to know all the answers. So he understands that the fact that I can be something important at work, but at home, I can be someone who's loved.
But you're also into business together.
We are into business together. We are very driven people. Yo, we clearly we don't like resting. We are very driven people. We are in business together. We run a company called VX Events and Logistics. And half the time we are moving people, even not on times when I'm not working. People get surprised sometimes. They'll book us to come and move their stuff, and they'll be like, no, no, I'll be there with my gloves picking up the boxes. And I'm like, yeah, I'm no, and I'm here to move you. So it sometimes it's a lot of fun, because people, I guess, they don't expect me to be, I don't know, at their houses picking up boxes, but I do that because this business, what was my husband's vision. It's something that he always wanted to do, and there's nothing that brings me greater joy as a wife than to see his vision coming into fruition, because I'm in my husband's life to assist him, to help him. So I do that not only by lip service, but also showing up when I can, physically, to say, hey, I'm here, I'll pick up that box, I'll do that. I don't mind doing that, because him and I are partners, similar with my business, with that I started before we got married. He shows up for me, like when I make merchandise, he's like, Okay, I need to be the first one, wearing your latest stuff. That's what partners do. We show up for each other.
Tell
So
us about that business of yours.
yeah, so I have a business called Salt and Light. We make merchandise, we make t-shirts, hoodies, caps. In fact, I should be wearing one right now, right?
I've
We
seen so
also
many of those of that merchandise. It's actually quite beautiful.
listen. It's incredible, like what our ideas can become if we believe. When I started goat merchandise, it was nothing but an idea because I was struggling at the time as the only female within my space. At that time, I was the only female. Now I'm happy to see other females coming through. So I was struggling so much, right? That I needed to build up confidence in myself. I needed to say every day when I was going to work, come on, Nono, you've got this. So I saw this phrase, goat, 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 right? And I was like, no, man, you need to believe in yourself the same way you believe in your goat. My goat will forever be Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't want to hear anything about that, okay? He's the best.
We're not here to debate that, but
Thank
continue.
you. So I was like, imagine if I had the same amount of faith in myself that I have in Ronaldo, for example, which is how GOAT came about. It was just me ministering to myself to say, you might not be.
The Dreamstream studio in Randburg is a full-service studio on Bromfisher Drive. It's perfectly suited for podcast, music recordings, and general video recordings. Backed up by an experienced editing and production team means you can walk in, record, and walk out knowing that everything will get done as you require. Our mobile gear ensures we can cover your video and live streaming needs on location too. We got the cameras, the lights, and the action to make you and your brand shine. Contact us now, studio@dreamstream.co.za, and we'll make it happen. Dreamstream, a place to create yourself.
A GOAT in football, but you are a GOAT in the thing that you are called to do. In the thing that you are called to do, you are second to none. No one can beat you at the thing that you were called to do. So that is how this concept came about. It was a ministry to myself. And I started wearing these t-shirts. I was like, you're the GOAT. You've got this. You've done the prep. You've read. You've spoken to the relevant people. You've got what it takes to go there and succeed. And then people started paying attention. They were like, dope. This is really cool. We like this. Where can we get it? And that's how I started then making this merchandise. And it's grown in leaps and bounds. So that's how Salt and Light came about. And then in addition to that, I do speaking engagements. In addition to that, I write books. In addition to that, this thing has just evolved and grown so much. But I'm just a serial entrepreneur.
Actually, I want us to talk about your book, which is here.
Yeah.
But before that, how do you find time to manage all those activities?
I think for me, we have an incredible support system. Our family members who not only pray with us and speak life over us, but they are there when we need them. For me, I believe that I need to make the best use of my time as possible. So there are things that I do with my husband that allow us to do the things that we're doing. For example, my husband and I have meetings with each other. We call meetings for one another. Okay, then we'll say, okay, cool, this month, what are we doing? What is our plan? At the beginning of each year, we sit each other down and we ask, what is the goal for this year, for our family? Where are we trying to go? What are we trying to do? We're trying to make money. How much money are we trying to make? Where do we hope to make this money? What should we be doing in order for us to make this money? Then we have monthly meetings. So basically, that's what we do.
Very interesting.
Because I believe that now is the best time. This is as young as we ever going to be. So if we rest now, what are we hoping for? What are we hoping for? And we have children to consider. So we have meetings with each other because we are intentional. Like I said earlier, we are partners more than anything. And when someone is your partner, hopefully you want them to win.
Of course, yes.
And vice versa, right? So I'm able to sit with my husband like this and say, I don't think you're doing well at X and Y. I think you should be doing so much more. And we can say that to each other without hurting each other because he knows that that's coming from his partner. Someone
from
who
the right
wants,
place.
correct, someone who wants to see him win. We are able to say that, to say, look, with Salt and Light, with the gold merchandise, I don't think you're going the right directions. I don't think the colors that you're using are correct. I don't think the messaging is correct. I think you should tone down in this. I think you should do more of this, which is what my husband does. And I do likewise for him. Not so long ago, I started a TikTok account and my videos were going viral. And my husband sat me down and he said, I don't think you know how to maximize this.
Oh, no.
And I was like, what do you mean? My videos are going viral. A lot of people are following me.
The
I was like,
numbers are growing.
you're not posting frequently. And your messaging is just haphazard. You need to structure this thing more. You need to know what your plan is. You need to communicate with your followers a bit more. They need to know what, so we're able to do that for each other. And I think it's so important. Look, other people don't have spouses, but you could have a friend, you could have a family member. It's just that sometimes we are difficult to be held accountable because we don't understand that love comes with correction. And that's a best form of love. If you can't be corrected, it's difficult to love you. It's okay for people to correct you, to say, hey, you could be doing better here. It might hurt for a little bit, but the long term benefit
You're
of
going to be
that,
grateful for it.
100%, and it makes you a better person. So I think that's something that's very important in our friendships and relationships. I know a lot of relationships that have fallen apart because people don't want to be corrected. And I think that points to pride.
More than anything. Tell us about your book, These Words. What is it about?
These are the words that I'm passing on to my generation. I'm passing on to my children. These words are the words from my heart. Basically, how this book came about, I was just in a very difficult space at work at the time. And I wanted to share some of the things that I was going through. And the best way I share is through writing, through words. So that's how this book came about. And I am so grateful that I was able. I never thought, but here it is. Most of it is really, what can I say? It's a labor of love. It's a labor of love. It comes from a very deep place. It comes from life lessons, mistakes that I've made. I'm very honest in this book about things that I've been through on a personal level. I just want other people to be able to benefit from what I've been through. I remember my father used to say, other people need to benefit from you being alive. And I hope that this book impacts somebody else's life.
You've got this book, These Words, but you also have won awards. 2022 G-Spot.
100%.
That was a massive achievement.
Massive achievement indeed. Oh, and I'm so thankful to the G-Sport family for that. I think there's something about recognition that just warms the heart, because the reality of it is when you work behind the scenes, most people don't see how much effort you put in. There are long hours that you put in. There are tears, by the way. I don't know how many times I've gone to the bathroom to cry, and then I come out and I pretend like everything is fine, right? There's a lot of effort put in. You get rejected a lot, you raise your hands, you share your ideas. Sometimes your ideas aren't taken seriously. You are overlooked for certain projects. And I don't think that I am an exception to the rule. I think it happens to everybody, but all of that comes to mold you and to shape your character. So there's a lot of effort that goes into it. And for me to be recognized in that kind of public space and platform, it meant so much to me. I mean, I told Cass immediately after receiving the award, I was like, thank you so much for this. I feel so seen. I feel so recognized. And same as last year, one of the shows that I produced, Fanbase, won an award, and that was so meaningful to me. I mean, to walk on that stage, I don't even remember what I said, but I was like,
Just
it meant so much.
enveloped with emotions.
So I think those are the moments where you feel like it's been worth it. It's been worth it, because most of what we do goes unseen, it goes unseen. I mean, the minute that you're done with the production, like I said earlier, it's not like there's a group of people waiting for you, clapping for you. No, you need to go home and find that within yourself that, okay, cool, it was good. It was good.
Speaking of recognition, 2020, you were listed as one of the 100 most influential young ladies. I mean, that's bigger than big.
Yeah. Oof. I was so honored to be on the list. That meant a lot to me. I think for me, what matters more than anything is being able to make an impact in other people's lives, whether in business, whether in my career, whether in my personal space, even whether on social media. I am always looking for ways to be a blessing to other people. And that is a lifestyle for me. That is what I've chosen to do because I understand that my assignment is bigger than me. So that is like part of my day to day fabric, to live, to make an impact in other people's lives. So to see my name there because other people nominated me. Other people recognized the effort that I was putting in. They appreciated all the ways that I was making a difference in their lives. That for me was most meaningful. For people to say Nono is adding so much value. It feels like a hug from heaven, honestly. So yeah, I will continue to always do my best to add value to other people's lives, not to be on those lists, but because really at the core of my heart, the person who, or the reason why I live my life like that is to honor God, is to please him, more than anything. And yeah, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for the life that I have.
You're talking about making mistakes. You talk
Mm.
about helping other people.
Mm.
You participated in one challenge, Moneymaker Challenge. What
Mm.
did you make of that, and what lessons can
Oh
you
my
pass on?
goodness. I can't believe you. Hey, you did your homework, right? So I did the money makeover challenge because I had just gotten married, right? And as much as we got some counseling before we got married, right? We went through a whole year's counseling. That's part of our standard at church. When you're getting married, they sit you down and they really talk to you about what marriage entails to prepare you, because it's a lifetime commitment. So in 2020, I then decided to, in addition to the counseling, to then sign up for this money makeover situation because I was like, okay, cool. It's going to add to what we were already taught. I did not know what I was signing myself up for, right? And then APSA and City Press called me. They were like, listen, no, we really want you to be part of this. We're excited, you and your husband. Basically, they teach you about finances. And finances is something that I've always been passionate about. In my house, we've always been open about finances. How much is coming in, how much, how much we need to spend on whatever. So when I signed up for the money makeover, I was like, they wanted so many details. How much do you make? What else could you be doing with your life? How much does your business make? Yo, I was like, these people are really going deep. But they taught me so much about discipline, about budget, about dreams, because at the beginning of the year, everyone has dreams. I want to lose weight, I want to do this. But what are your financial dreams? Where do you want to be by the end of the year financially?
Financially?
You know, if you have a house, how long is it going to take you to pay this house off? And what should you be doing to make sure that you pay it off quicker or sooner? So the money makeover experience was incredible, to a point where we still have a group even now with Maya and the rest of the contestants. And that same year, I so wanted to win, but I came
You came
second.
second, yes.
I came second, and with that money, I paid off my car, I paid off my credit card debt, to a point where I no longer have a credit card. After that, it changed how I view my finances completely. I'm grateful for that experience, and even now, I'm able to just share the journey with people. And also how I relate to money now is completely different. I think before I was like, yeah, I have to work hard for this money, which is good, but I didn't know how to make money work for me. And that I think is an important conversation, particularly for young people. How do you make money work for you? How do you correct your attitude towards money? Because money multiplies in the hands of those who are wise. So how do I become part of the wise? So yeah, I'm grateful for that experience. I think it has added so much value to my life.
As we wrap up, I think I've got three more questions. First one, you speak about God so well and so much. What does it mean to you, and how has He helped you? Um,
Mm.
yeah.
You are my friend. You know me very well. So yeah, God is everything to me. God is everything to me. I don't know how to identify Nono outside of God, because I've seen God move in my life in a real way. I don't think I would be where I am if it wasn't for my faith. There were times in my life where I I was completely lost. I was in the dark completely. And his love was made so real to me that no one can convince me that God does not exist. No one can convince me that God does not love me. His hand is heavy upon my life. And that's not to say that life is always perfect for me, but I am convinced that God loves me and He's with me. Um, yeah, God is everything to me. I think that has just that is my day-to-day strength, that I'm not here by mistake. There's a divine purpose over my life. So yeah, that is everything.
How would you like to be remembered?
I would like to be remembered as someone who lived with passion, who loved completely, and who walked with intention. I am a person who wears her heart on her sleeve. I I like to make a difference wherever I can. I love to see people happy, but equally so, I will correct you when you're wrong and I will call you to order when you need it, not to harm, but I think there are very few people in life who have the integrity to speak the truth when it needs to be heard, you know? So I believe very much in honesty and authenticity.
Looking into that camera, what advice can you give anyone listening, especially the young girls out there that think that it's not possible?
The best advice I can ever give anyone is this: pursue God with everything that you are. That is the single most important thing, because his plan is greater than any plan that you can come up with yourself. And God will lead you to spaces, to environments, to boardrooms that you never imagined yourself being in. And his grace will sustain you and keep you.
Wow, I can't believe time has flown so much.
No, was that 45 minutes?
Almost, yeah. It's you. You have got so much to tell. I think we should do a part two on this. What do you
I
think?
think so, 100%.
Yeah, no, but really appreciated you coming here. And as I said earlier, I'm really, really honored that you were the first guest, because you were part of the founders of this idea. And here it is now happening. So thank you so much for coming through.
Thank
And
you.
to you watching this, this was the first episode of One on One with Matlomola Morake, the women's story. Till next time, from me, bye bye.